name's Bart, and today we're here for another Coach Dave Academy lap guide video. I'm in the FIA4 car, and we'll be going around Imola. Let's get to the hot lap. All right, heading down the main straight now at Imola. Now the first corner is not really a corner, it's just kink, so you can just kind of ignore that. But into what the real first corner is, and not this kink either, this chicane, left, right, left, it's probably the most similar corner to Lacombe at Spa, except for now it's the first corner, and I think it's again really tricky, similar to Lacombe, because you're going from a high speed to a medium speed, so you've got aero and mechanical grip, so the car's going to change the way it's balanced through the corner quite a bit. You've also got curbs that if you hit them, completely mess your run up, and it's also difficult to see the exit, and it's not so much about braking efficiency or how early you pick up throttle or carrying speed. It's everything. You know, it's you have to balance the car well all the way through the corner and prepare the car well the whole time. So to start with, you can see we're not going to be perfectly straight, so that makes it even better for us, even more fun. We're not going to be able to get straight in time for the braking here, just because the way this the road kinks. So I would recommend be on the white line at this 200 board, so it gives you the widest initial, let's say, positioning point, something along those lines. And then you're going to point the car, see, in line with your turn-in point, right? So wherever you want to leave the white line on the entry to the corner, positioning for the first corner, we just want to be over on the right-hand side white line here, about the 200 board, just so we have the ability to open up the track as much as possible into the first corner. And now we're going to look to where we're going to turn in from. Where's our point, our widest point of entry? And for me, you know, I'm looking about here-ish, and then looking to go meet the inside curve around here somewhere, right? So that's where we're going to have the car in line with. Make sure it's straight when you hit the brake pedal, or straight towards where you want to be. I know it's diagonal to the track, but for the purpose of this, the car is a flat platform. It's going in a straight line. Heavy braking zone now, down to fourth gear, very similar to the Com in that way. Keep it straight just initially, and you see a lot of pressure, sustained high pressure. And as soon as you kind of have to come off the pressure a bit, you're almost fully out of the brakes. You see, I'm trailing a tiny bit of brake here on the entry point, but it's only a very small amount, and on throttle quite early. So breaking that down, it's all about how much speed can I carry through here while also just kind of keeping the car well balanced in a way where I can still rotate it. So it's tricky because, like I said, you can't really, if you just commit speed, you'll end up too much lock on through the right part of the corner, and maybe you'll end up over the curbs. You can see here that we want to try and get on throttle as we reach this apex curb, kind of as the car grips up onto this. A little bit of brake just to keep it onto here. So the amount of speed you carry up to this point on the curb, and then start to pick up throttle now. You won't be able to get to full straight away, but some throttle you should be able to pick up. Yep. You see, I just about get to full throttle now as we make the direction change. And that's kind of your control of how quickly can I get to full throttle is all about how much do I need to, or how much space have I got in terms of the track, because you don't want to hit these sausage curbs. So you can see I get really close to this one here, just about clip the edge of it. If you hit them, they can bounce you off and basically ruin your lap or put you off in the race. So it's super important to be accurate here. So main advice for that is just look where you want to be, right? Don't get lost. Don't get sucked into the braking zone. Looking on the right hand side of the track or the white line, the entry. Look in here. Make sure you meet this part of the curb. Start to pick up throttle. Make sure you're accurate and you aim to be here at this part of the corner, and then you're going to let the car run all the way out on the exit. Yeah. So don't tighten up the car and overslot for that right unnecessarily. So you should be forced all the way out onto this exit curb. Otherwise, you're not carrying enough speed through the first part, or you're over slowing, or you're not getting on the throttle quick enough and over slowing this right here. So it needs to be forced out once this left, because this last left-hander will always be flat in this car. It will always be flat. Try to reduce the steering, but it's all about speed through the first part of that corner. So onto the next bit now, this quick flick chicane. So left-hander, you can use a bit of these curbs. You can definitely hit the sausage curbs, but it is a bit risky. My advice is get your car over the red and white and late as possible. So you want to meet the curb late, and everything here is about positioning for the right. You watch an F1 driver, they really focus on preparing the car for the right-hand portion of this corner, right? So first thing I'm going to do to achieve that is actually we're going to try and brake quite late. If you brake early here, you'll turn in a bit early and you'll kind of understeer a bit, or you bounce off the inside curb. So you've got to be fairly late, and that's quite intimidating, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is you want to aim here. You want to be on the left-hand side white line around here somewhere. So look to be there. Don't worry about, this isn't your apex. Ignore that. Completely ignore that. Look around to meet the outside the curve, or the end of the curve, I should say, and then the white line after. That's where you want to meet the left-hand side of the track. You can see I'm in fifth gear, soft brake, and then down to fourth as I turn into the right. This will help you rotate the car. So, and also I think keeping in fifth through the left, not only does it help you maintain the speed, and you're not going to be getting on throttle again, but it just helps keep the platform stable. So it's quite important. Keeping fifth. Now we're on the white line, the left-hand side of the track. Now we can have another brake down to fourth gear. We get a little bit of a short bit of a, just able to keep the car flat for a second, get it straight, turn in, short brake. How much speed can I carry over this curb? Bit like turn one this way. How much speed can I carry? And I need to be on throttle at the apex, yeah? So as soon as you hook it up on the apex curb, on the red and white curb, you got to start picking up throttle. And then you should be forced out, and it's quite tricky here to keep in within track limits, so keep that in mind as well. You've got to keep your right-hand tyres on the red and white to avoid getting off track. Quickly bring it over to the right. We don't have much time here. Braking just after this little white marker here where the 50 board is, down to third gear. Try to be, it should feel late. I know it looks late, it should feel late. If you're in early here, you usually have to turn out, or you get on throttle quite early because you're like, I don't really want to hit the inside. I've overslowed. I need to avoid hitting the inside curve because it kind of give you quite a bit of inside wheel spin. And then you just push into massive understeer on the exit with lots of lock on, and then swap into oversteer, or you just drive off the track. So it's not ideal. So the first way we avoid that in this quite long bowl-shaped hairpin is let's push the entry. Yeah, let's brake quite late. So brake down to third gear. The car shouldn't be all over the place though. So late, but controlled, turn in, delayed. Just about meet the white line. Patient. You can see look how far into the corner it is before we actually reach the inside of the track. It's now almost at the exit, really. And I'll start picking up the throttle just as I start reaching the inside curb. I'll pick up throttle because I don't want to reach that inside curb. As soon as you reach that inside curb with your left rear tire, it just wants to spin up. So we don't want. And I'm just really careful with how I apply throttle here because I don't want to force the car out too much. And again, track limits is quite difficult here. It's very easy to get off track. You have to keep your left-hand tires on the red and white, so please keep that in mind. Okay, up the hill now. Just keep the car on the right-hand side. Smooth the steering. Not much of a corner here. Use all the track on entry here. Obviously, you always want to, but on a corner like this, it's more important. Quick, quite simple corner. Soft brake. You see, we keep the car perfectly straight as we brake. Soft brake. Down to fourth gear. The fourth gear change should help you get a lot of front here, help you rotate the car. I personally, you can hit the inside curb, but I don't feel like it rotates the car that much. Like initially it'll bite, but it kind of understeers, or the car like bounces off it, or the middle of the car bottoms on it. So I don't think it's a great thing for hitting. You can kind of clip the edge of it, but I prefer it if you just hit the slanted part of it, or just go up to it. The edge of that curb is probably the best, most reliable thing to do here. If you hit the inside curb, it generally means you haven't carried enough speed. That's a pretty healthy guide, I would say, because you hit the inside curb, you pick up throttle, you kind of bounce and get this understeer, and then you end up on your run-off area with an off track. That's very common. So down to fourth gear, roll lots of speed here, and then you should be able to pick up throttle just about now. So you want to delay your throttle pickup until the corner kind of cambers in about now, where this grate is on the left-hand side. And that's what I talk about. You should have carried enough speed, so this is the case. And when you get on throttle, get on fast, go to full. Track limit again, left tires on the red and white. Don't stay off this curb because it just bottoms out and you kind of just drag the floor and lose lap time. Get it to the left quickly. Now, this is quite tricky, this double right here. This and all starts here with how you prepare the car. So I don't like being all over the inside curb. You can be tighter. What we really want is to be as straight as possible braking for the next right, because that's the important corner with the uphill exit. That's where you're going to gain your lap time. To assist that, we want to delay our turn in pretty much as late as possible without being super under load. So if we turned in, say, a car length later, because technically you could say, Bart, well, you say later, why didn't you turn a car length later? Okay, if I did that, I would turn and the car would be so loaded and so out of control as I'm going through the right that I'm not going to be able to get it straight in time for the second right. So this is why we just have to be smooth and kind of just aim to clip, I say with your right tires, clip the red and white or just go up to it there. But I'm always looking here. I want to aim to meet the end of this curb, and then I'm looking up around the second sausage to meet that apex curb next to it. That's my reference points, yeah? And you can see I'm flat and I lift out a little bit kind of as you turn in and then start braking. And you should build up the brake pressure. So braking soft, and then the brake pressure goes up as it straightens out. For those of you who don't know, as you straighten the car up, as you flatten it, as you have less lateral load going on, you can then apply more braking or more throttle longitudinally. So in a straight line, treat it as if every time you turn, you've got to come off the throttle or the brake a bit more. You can't. You've only got this much grip. You can't maximize it all the time. So when we've got more load on the car here, and we're using the steering, we can only put a little bit of brake pressure on, but we need to start braking now, right? But we're limited in how much we can do. So it's only a very soft hit from me. And then we build into it as it straightens up and as the car kind of unloads. Now I can just apply the brake pressure, get this straight line braking done. Probably the most difficult corner of the track for this. So as a beginner especially. So I think it's worth really keeping that in mind when you're going through this corner. Get it straight. And hit the brake pressure. I'd say first, don't worry about pushing this right. If you need to, brake a little bit early or lift into here if you need to set up the second part, and then just build up the entry. Get the exit of the second part right first, and then push this part. Otherwise, you'll never get it right. So should get the wheel straight for a fraction of a second. Down to third gear. Late-ish gear change helps with the rotation here. Again, get right onto the inside curb without hitting the sausages. They'll bounce you wide again. They're not fun. But the red and white curb on this one really helps hook the car up. Very quick throttle pickup from me. It's uphill, so we really need to get going. As soon as I get rotated, bang, on the throttle, hooked up on the curb. Smooth the wheel. Don't ride the left curb too much. Again, well, actually, I think this track limit's a bit different. You can't run quite as much over the curb. You will get off track more easily, and also the car bottoms out curving. So it's about as much as I'd run here is just keep your right tires on the tarmac. And now running up to the chicane, you can attack these curves a lot in this car, a lot, especially with the fixed setup. There's quite soft springs, so you can be very aggressive. Braking is just before the 50-meter board here. Down to third gear for the first part and second for the left. We'll just quickly go through it, just give you a visual of it. I mean, this is very close to illegal here because you've got to keep your keep a tire on the white line basically. So you see the left tires are on the white line, and then the right hand side tires are on the white line here, just about pretty on the limit, I'd say. And then on the exit, you got to keep your left hand side tires on the red and white curb. But tricky this bit. Tricky to be consistent without getting off track as well. So really hard brake initially, straight to 70-80% pressure. down to fourth gear, and then down to third. As you turn to the right here, you'll have to bleed out quite quickly, start turning under this gantry. The main way I see this corner is I do see it as two corners, which obviously it is two turns, but I think some people see it as one, kind of hang on through it. The first part is this right-hander that you're breaking through, and I'm just trying to get the car straight before I turn left. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. So it's all about preparing the left-hander. So you can see here, look at the angle I get. It's all about, okay, can I get the car straight? This little moment here where the platform is going in a straight line, and I can prepare the car for this left-hander that will lead on to the long exit, right? Down to second gear. So that's kind of the way I see it, is can I just carry the speed up to this little braking zone, carry the speed, stop, and then turn in again for this other corner. It's coming up now, rather than just hang on through and kind of hack through it. So braking down to third, take the curb. You'll probably have to take a little bit of lock off as you go over the top. You can see I do that there, just kind of control it a bit. How much speed can you carry over this right is kind of the first thing I would say. But generally, it's better to push the entry a bit more on this one because it encourages you to hold the brake. Holding the brake will kind of help keep the car tucked in almost, I want to say, or help angle. The later you brake here, the better angle you get for the ride. If you go in quite early with a lot of speed, you end up with a lot of lock on over the right and understeering and ending up tightening the left-hand side of the track. So if you can be a bit later, and you can see I clear the brake here, because if you hold the brake, it'll just lock up over the curb and then you'll lose front grip. So I bleed out of the brake, and then I hit the brake again just between the two, and that's what I was talking about, that little platform here. Just as the car lands, as it has this little wobble, I just use the grip I've had. Now I'm back on tarmac again and not bouncing through the air. Have a little bit soft brake down to second gear. That'll help the car get turned in. It should also help you stop the car a bit more, because I think quite often people don't push the right because they're like, I cannot get it stopped for the left. I'm out of control. If you have this little brake and get this little kind of car length of getting the car flat, and also that little bit where you can just do the down change, then it allows you to push the first part more if you can keep that in mind. So now this second curb, down a second, and pick up throttle more aggressively than the last time. Again, clearing the brake as we hit the curb. We don't want to be braking it as we're hitting these curbs, but we want to be on throttle pretty much straight away. It'll help settle the rear a bit, and it just helps pick up the exit. Use all the track on the exit, and then now we're going to quite soundly drive down the hill here. Make sure to get the car to the left just to reduce this a bit, so we can be fully over to the right, like we are now on the white line on the right hand side of the track. Braking is about 70 meters from the corner, I want to say. So there's no hard reference, but it's after the 100-meter board and pretty much in the middle, 75 meters, something like that, between the 100 board and the 50-meter board. I'm always looking at the apex on a corner like this and judging that. But I know some people have struggled with that. Braking down in a straight line to third gear. The rear will get quite loose here, or you might struggle with lockups. If you're struggling with locking up, you just got to come out of the brake. You cannot hold the brake while turning in here. It will just lock up. But it's also possible to lose the rear if you're really aggressive initially on the brakes. Keep that in mind. You'll be able to hit a lot of brake pressure, so it's a very hard braking zone. Maintain that brake pressure quite far down the hill, and just turn in before this little white line here. Or this little, sorry, I should say this little join in the track. Down to third gear, left tires on the inside curb. It'll help rotate it. You should be on throttle at this point. Bleed out of the brake, roll the speed over the curb, get on throttle. Don't be forced wide and kind of with lots of steering lock on. Then you've over pushed the entry. Much nicer in this car just to get onto the curb and use the throttle. You're already preparing your exit onto the straight at this point. Now we're on full throttle. Force the car over this curb. As long as you have your left tires in the red and white, you're all right. Wait a little bit to move left. If you move a bit earlier, then you can bottom out and kind of have a little bit of a moment over one of these bumps. It's around here on the curb. It's not ideal. So I go a little bit later than that. And it should just be a lift to get the front in to help you turn the car. You can see I just graze the brakes. Just lift off the throttle a bit. That'll help get the nose in. Put the weight onto the front of the car. And then as you hit the curb, the front will start to grip up again. It'll rotate the car. So you can see pretty in unison with how I hit the curb, I start picking up the throttle again. So do your rotation before, and it should only be part throttle, ideally. You shouldn't have to come all the way off. And then as soon as you hit this curb, you should be able to go more throttle to kind of counteract the extra amount of... Because you think, oh, I'm hitting the curb, and it starts spinning the car, rotating it, get on the throttle and that balance it out, because then you're creating more understeer with your driving. And then as I come off it onto full throttle, up to 4th gear, you should be forced wide, so your left-hand tires are on the red and white. Rejoin the track, you will bottom out a bit, but it's still faster. Hold the pit wall on the right-hand side just to shorten the distance, and that takes you up to the finish line. Okay, so that takes us to the end of the video now. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and you can also check out the Coach Dave Academy Discord in the YouTube video description. My name's Bart, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.